You know, it's almost like these lads are just getting bored of spamming Mongol and France. And I'm happy to see it as we have got China versus Abbasid Dynasty. That is right, folks. Two of the factions we don't get to see as much of, especially China. It's nice to have seen, since the patch dropped, a lot of these players just trying to utilize China. And it's not because anything got changed in the patch, actually, with China, with really any faction specifically, other than the Mongol TC rush. It was simply because, obviously, these players now, after they've kind of feel like they've got their vibes, they feel like they've actually figured out how to play France, Mongols, whatever. They're trying to complete the puzzle, right? They want to know exactly how China works, which is why we're seeing Viper once again playing as China 2 in a row. And then Kasvas, meanwhile, playing as the Abbasid Dynasty. I think Kasvas, primarily, I've been seeing him play France, Mongols a lot of the time, so always nice to catch something else. I'd say Abbasid Dynasty, based on what I've watched, based on what I've been kind of seeing the numbers, has to be maybe the 5th or 6th place Civ in terms of pick rate. Well, China has to be probably 7th. I don't know. Delhi versus China, which I'd love to see, by the way. I feel like more people are trying Delhi at the moment just because they're trying to, like, crack the code on that one, right? While in a lot of people's eyes, China seems really clunky because you have to go back and, you know, build another landmark, invest huge amounts of resources to kind of get those dynasty perks, which can be pretty potent, but as we just said, you have to go back for them. And I think that's the big difference here, right? That's the thing that's making it very hard for people to utilize China correctly, is that you have to invest all this extra resources in 1v1s. And in 1v1s, a lot of these 1v1s, if I say an extra 1,000 gold is required for you to achieve your goal, right, that dissuades you. That completely strips you of what you feel you can do in the game. I don't think that's an exaggeration. But you know what? You know what has been stripped of in this map? Sheep. There were wild sheep once upon a time, but I guess I should highlight the fact that Viper just returned to his TC this early in the game with 15 sheep. What? What? I don't know. I guess it's just that time of the year when sheep hump or something. You just walked into a corner and found a Millennium Falcon full of sheep that have been trafficked across the universe. I don't remember the last time at 2 minutes in I saw a scout return with 15 sheep, but here we are. I think what Viper done is he played directly to the center, right? Yeah, he did. So Viper understands this map pretty well already. Kasvas went for the kind of info grabbing game where he wrapped right around the back. He yoinked these kind of further out sheep. Big thing to highlight is whenever you play this map layout, always play towards the center because primarily the sheep will spawn along the bank here. And that is exactly why Viper was able to get so many of them and already has 5 more that he can bring back. Meanwhile, his opponent already has 2 scouts out and has a pittance to show for it, right? I mean, he's got 10 in total when he brings this back, but when we compare it, right, double that for Viper, and it was just 1 scout that whole time. I mean, that's impressive. Remember also, Viper couldn't go for a 2nd scout either, because while Kasvas could kind of justify it early on, might even snipe a villager for his trouble for it, when you're playing as China, you're already behind on villager production rate because you stop off for an Imperial official, right? So you can't afford to go for a scout as well. Which is why Kasvas was also confident that he could go for that scout because it wouldn't hurt his work account because he should have known his opponent was going to stop off that 150 food Imperial official. Another interesting thing to highlight in that regard, actually, when you talk about the opening for China, they need a lot more food early on because of that Imperial official, right? And they don't necessarily get it back as quickly or as clearly, shall we say, as like I'd say HRE does with the Prelate. That being said, when you go on war this early, as China, you'll definitely find your value. Nice move by Kasvas, though, to put the outpost down. The problem is, with 1 person in, it does nothing. You can already see it, right? The heal rate of the dock is too high. He'd actually have to garrison maybe 3 people in here, possibly 4, to do enough damage to start killing off these ships. So, not really the most powerful plays out of Kasvas, but it does give him vision on the area. It does keep a little bit of pressure on this dock, and it does cover his expansion to a dock on the left side because he also went on the water. Meanwhile, look upriver, though. Viper, 2nd dock going down as well. Remember, he builds these so fast with 1 worker as well. So big value just really being gained already for the Chinese side. And yeah, there you go. That's why he garrisons up to 3. So now he's very slowly killing them. Viper could just every once in a while check back in and protect this by quick repairing it up with another fishing boat. We'll see if he actually does that. Or he could try and like get some early units out to burn these down. He is right now spamming out scouts, by the way. So he went up to 3 in the end. This kind of surprised me. Vision's very important, but when you invest in like 3 scouts, I think you have to find some pressure value. And he could try and harass a Villi or 2. Maybe that's the move he's thinking about here. Or possibly the slow burn on the dock. I think that's got to be the play, right? Both of them haven't teched up to tech 2 yet, so he might even be able to burn down this dock before any sort of protection can come out. That being said, he actually probably needs to get rid of the villager first, which is why he's moving in. Sees the gate being built, the palisades going down, and that will force the Villi back. You just need to back off. I think you should slowly burn down the dock. Because remember, you do 10 damage per molly that they throw. So yeah, I think you just prioritize this, getting rid of that. The villagers shouldn't be able to come over. And that kind of evens out and causes some frustration instead for Kasvas. Now, tech up-wise, I don't think... Yeah, Viper is... Okay, yeah, he built it forward, that's why. I was looking for it. So yeah, he's covering the center crossing with the Barbican of the Sun. This does mean his actual own base is pretty exposed. But the cool kind of ripple play this has is when you start to play towards the center for these gold vein locations, for all the stone lines, then you actually have a defense in place, a very powerful defense to kind of protect you. So it might be that this is part of Viper's plan to TC expand towards the river line. So I 100% support that. So tech up achieved, I believe. Yeah, we're a little bit out still. 30 seconds till the eco wing is complete for Kasvas. Almost always seeing the eco wing. Sometimes you see the military wing if you're planning a hard rush. But as we talked about in previous game, when you're up against China, I don't like the idea of just all in on some like a military wing for like an aggressive rush. Because while you with a big enough force, you could get through the Barb in the Sun. It's a sizable defense, right? And it's almost always built by the Chinese first. I think actually I've yet to see in a serious game the Imperial Academy be built first. The Imperial Academy, for those that don't know, means that buildings in range of it will generate gold at 100% extra speed. So remember, you generate gold by, for example, dropping off food. Here's generating tax gold. Also producing units will do that as well. But yeah, in general, you always go for Barbican in the Sun. Outpost down. So Viper, get enough of Kasvas' shenanigans. He said, anything you can do, I can do too. And he's quite right in that. This dock probably won't last very long. He's not going to invest the Villies in continuing their work here, though. And I like that choice, right? Like, the dock's eventually going to go down. Yeah, maybe he gets a few more returns of fish. But overall, you've pushed him further away, so the return's going to be slow. And also, now you can reallocate these villagers into building something forward. Whether that's going for, like, yeah, there it is. I was about to say, going for the stone and then getting enough for a second TC, or whether that's just, like, making some sort of forward defense line. Scouts chasing scouts. So, Gold Age 1 already achieved, and that's off the back of building these stables. So, Kasvas doing what we've been seeing a lot of Abbasid Dynasty players doing in the early game, which is going for the Horseman spam. This will give him some aggressive advantages against China, as China, even though they go for Spearmen, outside that, they don't usually have much in the way of a present military force in the first 2 ages. And it also looks like that's going to continue to be the case for Viper, actually. I'm surprised by this. Going back for the Imp Academy this early, I thought maybe you go for a second TC. That being said, this choice to do this the way he's doing it, when he gathers stone, like the Imp Academy is going to be complete, then he'll eventually have enough for a second TC. He'll get full value out of the production rate boost to his Villi count. Which, surprisingly enough, by the way, I can't show you the dynasties right now. I don't know why it's doing that. That seems like a bug to me. I hope they fix that. Some games you actually can see the dynasty, and other games you just can't. And this seems to be one of those ones where it's not letting us see it. I think it's based on when you load in. If you load in looking at the Chinese player, you can see their dynasty. And if you don't, then you can't. Which, if that is exactly what is causing the bug, that's a bit of an unfortunate one. And I hope they get that fixed fast. Although, right now, based on the hotfix we just got the other day, I'm not holding my breath with these type of things getting fixed anytime soon. There's definitely a million and one things higher on the list that we are a few weeks after launch still waiting to have resolved. Yeah, now Blacksmith grabbed. Rack's already down. Should get a small Spearman contingent just to kind of protect his flanks. You can already see the expansion up in the north. Kasvas plan to get back on the water here, and the Horsemen wrapping around. A lot of exposed economy for Viper. Remember, he played pretty loose here, so in terms of defenses, he's got a lot of exposed economy with nowhere to run that quickly. As the Horsemen move in, they'll be able to spot the stone line. And that should be where they go. Instead, he's just trying to snipe out the sheep. I'm just not really sure why. Was that a misclick? That had to be a misclick, guys. There's no way he intended to kill the sheep right next to the mill. That doesn't really have much of an effect. And now, as a result, of that misplay. I'm not even sure if he'll be able to snipe Villies. Nah, the Spearman should just scare him away entirely. He might be able to scare these guys off of the gold line, but the problem is with the Spears just trickling out, with the production rate up due to the Imperial Official, he won't get much value out of this small Horseman army he committed to. Fisher ships continue to work. Moving upriver now. They have another dock to work with. These horsemen do get value if they manage to get rid of this dock. But you can already see 2 Spearmen going over. And a second TC going down. Now, has there been a mirror by Kasvas? No. No, there hasn't. So Kasvas is kind of all in then. He won't be able to boom at the same rate. I mean, I say that, yeah, he is wholly in. He's going for Castle Age off the back of Military Wing. So Kasvas' goal is to end this game in the next 5 to 8 minutes. Whereas Viper, because you're playing China, right, you always have that potential to go later, and you're probably targeting that as well, because you still only have a single Rax. Of course, this is producing at 200% the rate. But, yeah, I mean, in general, in this situation, Viper definitely looking for a much later timing, and I don't think he scouted this either. Remember the walls that went down? Like, Kasvas hidden most of his intention. So Viper doesn't have any eyeballs on this. He doesn't see the double stable, the double racks. And he doesn't know what's coming his way, which is eventually going to be that military wing, just enabling Kasvas to get hyper-aggressive with a few camels in the mix in the Castle Age. And yeah, nice use of the horseman here, just a card now. So Kasvas just wants to know if Viper ever intends to get vision on him. And the longer that he sits here with nothing running across or trying to run across, the longer he feels confident that he's actually going to be safe to just invest it heavily into Castle Age military and then push straight into Viper's base. Milli on Milli on the water here as a junk ship comes out to counter out the Dow. Now remember, these junk ships are going to be more effective than Dow. The Dow, I believe, has a slight range advantage. No, it has less range, but remember, it can fire on the go. It doesn't have to turn to face the target. So the problem that now Kasvas has is if they both two continue to invest on the water, which he is doing, he's going to Bagala, which is much better. If he'd gone for more arrow ships, the only way this would have worked out against the junk is if he could force the junk to run away. With a Bagla, though, he definitely will achieve that. That being said, Viper, is he close to his own tech up? Yes, he is. So astronomical clock tower coming out. Now, if I am Kasvas, I have to surely I have to kind of anticipate this is coming. So I should have a composite force that isn't just going to be slow-moving infantry. You can already see he's building a few man-at-arms, but I would love to see the horseman spam coming out continuously, maybe a small camel archer contingent. Just because when you're talking about these Nesta Bees, these very tanky Nesta Bees, or actually in this case, Springolds, they can just snipe you out when you're clustered up. It looks like he's not going to have to worry about the Nesta Bees for a bit, though. I expect maybe Viper to go for 3, possibly 4 Springolds just to counter out primarily the Horsemen. And then I would love to see him switch over to 2 or 3 of the Nesta Bees. I don't think the Nesta Bees are bugged anymore. I may be wrong about that, though. The values are very confusing because it says 8 per burst, and like the damage is actually fairly high, but it takes time, and you have to continuously hit the targets, right? So yeah, look how bulky these are. 300 health on these Clock Tower Springolds. It is pretty insane. And remember, guys, the other thing is he gets access to siege engine units without spending 300 wood on the building to do it. And not only that, gets better versions of the siege weapons because of it. Now, that being said, he is up against the Abbasid Dynasty, which, as we know, do not have to pay for those workshops at all. They can just build all these units out in the field. It does mean they'll eventually, if they want to try and match this Springolds, they'll have to upgrade, right? Because if you do go for roller shutter triggers on China, then you actually will have to get a workshop to just get that tech up as the Abbasid Dynasty. But that's the future worry. I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. Right now, it's just about pushing out enough siege weapons to repel your opponents. And moving in from the spears. So the Dow ship is getting burnt up here and hit by the Springolds, so that's definitely going to fall. But China getting pushed off the water soon. All these fishing ships aren't going to last long. I don't know how much fish there's actually left to really utilize here, though. If anything, he's going to have to find value in this being a patrol force. Like, he's preventing the grabbing of from these 2,000 food here, in these fishy points. But he's investing fairly heavily to do so. Remember, the Baglers aren't cheap, right? 240 wood, 180 wood, 180 gold, rather. And to be honest, if Viper gets a second one of these out, he'll have the immediate solution. I would love to see him get a second explosive junk, because then he'll be able to instant sync both the Baglers and the Dow Archer ship. And if they try and retreat, you probably even get rid of the dock as well. We're waffling on about the wrong things, though, because we're seeing the keep drop. It's happening again. China loves this move. But remember, they build structures quicker, so Viper just goes straight in, drops the keep right next to Kasvas' base, and forces the rally point of his military further back. He's also scared about his gold line being exposed. He has to back that off as well. But also remember, China use guns, so these man-at-arms are being shredded through so quickly. So one explosive ship tried to go in. That was a bit of a fluff, though. Didn't work out. But now he's moved his fishing boats forward. Look, so he's grabbing the food on the war again because his opponent is now distracted by what's happening in his base because he's got these villagers up here that are able to garrison to get sold, and he's got these springles to slowly siege things down long range. What I would absolutely love to see is some full military buildings just to get a small force to support this. In the meantime, more springles are being produced by Viper. No more military units, though. Just one or two straggler spears here and there. Really just going for the static defenses. I feel like I see this a lot from China when they succeed. And it makes sense when you think about it, right? One of the biggest advantages is the quicker build speeds. And that's why he instantly goes straight onto the stone outcropping nearby, because he wants to start spamming out more keeps. That being said, his springles are quite exposed, and ooh, he might lose them here. They are tanky, remember, but yeah, he just decides to fire away. There's no way to pull them back quick enough. Also, this buys enough time that Viper should be able to get the stone required for another keep. No, he's just shy. But he has got a second line, remember. So these guys are gathering back in base on both of these. This is the difference between China and most factions, by the way. You get those extra TCs, you're spamming out into gold veins. Nope, not when you're China. You're just spamming out into the stone. And it's not even about making the Great Wall. I mean, I guess in a way it is. It's a Great Wall of keeps, if you can get them up. And yeah, he's getting all the upgrades as well. You know, he's getting all the car wash bonuses, right? He wants to have the rims shined. He wants to have the car waxed. He's got the neon lights being installed underneath. The whole kit and caboodle. And yeah, stone gathering continues. He's got enough for a second keep if he wants to invest. I think right now, if you're Viper, you're just looking for a justifiable point to invest it in. I would expect to see him drop another keep as soon as this outpost goes down to try and creep into the enemy base. He has to be careful, though, because look, there's a military force being built up, and there's battering rams alongside it, right? So he actually needs a counter to this, and right now he has no counter. He hasn't rebuilt the Springwood army. Instead, he's gone for the tech up. So he's going to start to build a military infrastructure now into archery ranges, but he's building into the Spirit Way. So he's kind of eco-capped at this point, which means he'll probably lose this forward keep. It is going to buy time in itself just by them wasting time to take down his keep, though. So it should cover his tech up and allow him to station an army on the riverbank in prep for the incoming forces from Kasvas. Yeah, remember, as we see Spirit Way, this is the one that allows you to get all the Dynasty units and makes them cheaper as well when they're nearby. So he'll be able to get his hands on, you know, the Zhugnu, the Grenadiers, I believe, as well. There's also the Fire Lancers. We'll see what he's looking to grab with this tech up. This is my one worry, is trying to get across the water is a bit problematic against Kasvas now. And this is the cool move by Kasvas, by the way. He shifts the fleet across, down towards the other dock, mainly just to try and cut off any reinforcements to try and repair or keep this keep up. And you do see Viper manage to sneak in with the Springald now, and he'll be able to get rid of the battering ram. And he might keep this up. They're going to tug at the villagers now, but the villagers just rushing in. He needs to garrison them. They're going to start dying very quickly here. Does get them inside just in time, so this will trade out a decent amount of these man-at-arms. And they will slowly burn down the keep. But remember, he can just strip them out of the garrison on the other side and do quick repairs if need be. Springald is being targeted out, but remember, he has got a garrison fortress back here that's sniping out these ships slowly but surely. And here come the villagers. Repairs are on. He sees his opponent is distracted by the water, and as a result, he'll keep repairing the keep. And the man-at-arms army is gonna be spent, and Kasvas, he hasn't really invested in a backup army here. He was looking to get the resources together for a tech up, by the looks of it. And he was banking on that army being big enough to take down this keep on its own. It just wasn't. The power of China is in the buildings. And you see it once more. That's gonna be it. Kasvas gives up. He's like, no, one keeps enough. I don't want to see 5 of them in my base. Just get the hell out. Take your win, Viper, you goddamn snake.